We're called Neons, sinners plucked from hell to do God's dirty work. But I'm finding it hard to believe we're in heaven.
Neon White is a unique blend of shooting, platforming, and card game mechanics with an emphasis on speed. Each level has their own global leaderboard and a medal system which rewards players for going fast. Combine that with the often small level size, and Neon White successfully molds its players into speedrunners. Replaying levels over and over just to shave off a fraction of a second is shockingly fun. But today, I'm not interested in going fast. In fact, I plan on going quite slow at times. In this video, I ask myself, can you beat Neon White without shooting? The rules are simple. Rule 1. Any soul card I pick up can only be used for its unique discard ability. Rule 2. Using the katana is fair game. And lastly, rule number 3, I must complete all 97 of Neon White's levels. That includes all mainline levels, chapters, and bosses, but not any of the side content. Neon White's 97 levels are split up among 12 missions, 3 of which contain a boss fight at the end. Within these missions, new soul cards, enemies, and mechanics are all introduced. We begin our challenge in the Rebirth mission of the Glassport District. From now on, I will refer to chapters and levels numerically for simplicity's sake, making this level 1-1. Alright, enough blabbering on. It's time to start the challenge. Level 1-1 is nothing interesting, effectively a movement tutorial. Level 1-2, we are introduced to the first soul card of the game. Each soul card has a unique primary fire and discard ability. These abilities provide some form of unique movement as well as dealing damage. You can carry at most 2 different types of soul cards and 3 copies of each. Upon using the discard ability or running out of ammo, the card will be gone. Alright. The last important thing I should mention before moving on is the criteria for level completion. In order to beat a level, you need to defeat all demons indicated in the top left and get to the end goal. There are a few small exceptions to this, but I will cover them when I get there. So, back to level 1-2, I kill all these balloon demons and launch myself to the goal using the Purify card's ability, which is a sticky grenade. Level 1-3 is another simple one. Level 1-4 introduces the Elevate card, which allows you to jump again upon use. There's nothing really new or interesting for the rest of Chapter 1, so enjoy this time lapse for level 1-5 to 1-10. Another interesting thing I'd like to note is you may see me swinging my katana at projectiles. That is a parry, so the projectiles will go right back to the enemy and kill them, making things just a little easier for me, especially for this challenge. With 1-10 completed, Mission 1 is done. Moving on to Mission 2, I start level 2-1. Level 2-2 introduces the Godspeed card, which lets the player dash forward. Level 2-3 introduces these big blue demons that have high health and shoot flames at the player. Upon killing it, you get a Godspeed card. Levels 2-4 through 2-7 have nothing new or that interesting to them. Level 2-8 has these glass platforms that break a few moments after touching them. With 2-10 completed, Mission 2 is now done. Up next is Mission 3, where I start level 3-1. I'd like to point out here that some cards are modified to start with less ammo upon picking them up, so if you see ammo missing from one of my soul cards, assume this is the reason why. 3-1 introduces these big laser head demons. If you let the laser charge up all the way, you die. These guys are going to cause a huge headache later in the challenge. Level 3-2 introduces the Stomp card. Its ability launches you straight down from where you are. Levels 3-3 through 3-6 do not include anything new or noteworthy. I promise things are about to get much more interesting very soon, but for now we need to get through the muck of these early stages. All of which are fantastic in their own right, by the way, but for this challenge they pose no threat. Level 3-7 introduces these explosive barrels that can be used to kill demons and propel yourself. One thing you may have noticed me doing is using cards when there is no real reason to. This is because when you have the maximum 2 soul card limit, using the switch button only lets you cycle between those two. In other words, I cannot switch to my katana when I have 2 unique soul cards, which is usually a big problem. With 3-10 completed, Mission 3 is now done. Up next is Mission 4, where I start level 4-1. Chapter 4 only contains 2 regular levels and 1 boss fight level. There's nothing interesting to the first 2 levels, as they exist only to set the mood, and build up to the game's first boss fight. So far, every level has been very easy. Nothing of note, no concerns. Effectively a gameplay montage. That all changes now, with level 33, the boss fight against Green. The boss is simple. Destroy the crystals to make him vulnerable, then shoot him a bunch. But that's where the one thing I neglected to mention thus far becomes an issue. The katana has ammo. As ridiculous as that sounds, I actually need to use it sparingly here. I can't just slice up Green until he's dead, because once you run out of katana swings, and the subsequent punches, you die. So that just means I have to chip away at his health bar with discard abilities, right? Well, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Oh, turns out, Green's last phase is a bitch. Not only does he have 12 crystals I need to destroy to start hurting him, but it takes me 19 katana swings on the previous crystals just to get here. Not to mention the crystal above him I can't even reach. And the cherry on top is that when you do destroy all the crystals of the final phase, they regenerate after some time. So you have to just do it again. My only saving grace is the fact that these chests containing Purify cards respawn, so at the very least I can theoretically chip him down so long as I destroy the crystals. So my new strategy is to throw 1 Purify bomb at the upper crystals, and use 6 sword swings to take care of the other crystals and the chests. The only issue with this strategy, of course, being my limited sword swings. Which, fortunately, on my next attempt, I did some experimenting. Instead of using this Godspeed card at the start to zoom across the gap, I found an alternate route allowing me to save the card for these 2 crystals. This already decreases my katana swing count by 2. Unfortunately, this final green phase was very difficult with only the katana. Getting in close to perfectly destroy the crystal clusters was easier said than done. Skill issue aside, I began to think about this fight more critically. So, let's break down Green's final phase to put things into perspective. Now, with 2 less katana swings, I can make it to the final phase with 13 swings remaining. As mentioned before, I need 6 swings and 1 Purify card to make a Green vulnerable. Green's final phase only refreshes with 2 Purify cards, the ones in the chests, and because I allocate 1 towards the crystals above him, that leaves me with only 1 Purify card for damage each phase. So, with 13 swings, I can complete 2 phases, leaving me with 1 swing. If I were to push the limits and consider the 10 punches you get after running out of katana ammo, I could squeeze in 1 extra phase. So, in summary, I can hit Green with 3 Purify bombs, if played perfectly. Combine that with the 4 Purify cards given throughout the boss fight, and that puts me at a grand total of 7 Purify cards. Now, to consider Green's health. While it isn't explicitly stated how much health Green has, or how much damage a Purify card does, by looking at the footage we can determine how much 1 bomb does to Green. Yeah, that looks like a lot more than 7 bombs. While it's not the most scientific method, it looks like it takes 13 Purify cards to defeat Neon Green. To put it simply, it was impossible. Unless there was some way to preserve my swings or find more Purify cards, I would have to give up. Wait, so this whole time he can shoot his own crystals? As scripted as that sounded, I promise that was my genuine reaction. I didn't realize just how big this breakthrough really was. As broken down just a moment ago, using sword swings on the crystals was the biggest roadblock between me and beating Green. So, With a new method of breaking crystals without shooting or using sword swings, this fight just got a lot easier. But it's not that easy. You see, for some reason, Green can only break a handful of his own crystals. The crystals Green can break, I will call breakable crystals, and the ones he cannot, I will call immune crystals. I will also quickly break up the fight into phases, now that it is more relevant to. I will define a phase as a moment where crystals are required to be broken in order to progress the fight. This moment here, for instance, is the third phase in the fight and requires 5 crystals to be broken, as indicated under the health bar. So, to finally break it down, there are a total of 11 immune crystals. The 2 here in the first phase, the 5 in the third phase, and lastly, the 4 crystals in phases 4 and 5. And on the other hand, there are a total of 20 breakable crystals. The 2 in the second phase, the 6 in the sixth phase, except for 1 unreachable crystal, and fortunately, all 12 in the 7th and final phase. Not to mention the fact that the chests containing the Purify cards can also be broken from Green's projectiles. The only considerable downside is that getting Green to shoot any of the crystal clusters with his projectiles is too difficult to pull off, so it's better not to count those. That brings the total down from 20 to 10, which is still pretty good. With all that being said, I can now make it to the final phase with 18 swings remaining, and I require only 2 swings and 1 Purify Bomb to make a Green vulnerable each cycle. With this new tech, the fight will surely be possible. Yeah, I took the wrong side forward at that point. Yeah, that's... okay. Yeah, I'm just... I'm just an idiot. New tech unlocked. Oh! Ouch! Oh gosh, I'm so stupid. Oh, wait, this resets too? That's great. Wow, okay. I think the strat is to not jump. Boom! Let's go. Only takes 6 minutes to do that. Whew. Okay. With green finally defeated, I can move on to Chapter 5. This is level 6-4. It's worth noting I failed this level a few times due to some difficult jumps. I tried finding alternate routes, but the intended way works just fine with some faster movement. With chapters 5, 6, and 7 all completed without any problems, comes Mission 8. Mission 8 introduces a very fun card, Dominion, one of the most versatile and powerful cards in the entire game. It allows the player to rocket jump and zipline their way to victory. Unfortunately, because the game is cool and awesome, it actually makes use of the rocket jump in its level design. This is very bad for this challenge, and here's why. Through its primary fire, it can essentially work as an instant Purify Bomb, meaning shooting the Dominion card acts similarly to how discarding cards has worked thus far. Every card we have seen provides some movement ability for the player when discarded, while the primary fire does not, only serving as a method to dispatch demons. Therefore, with a card that can both kill demons and provide movement for the player, they're going to expect you to use it for both of these purposes. With that being said, let's analyze level 8-1. Right off the bat, the first problem is apparent. This wall here provides the player with two choices: rocket jumping or discarding to use the Dominion's zipline. Obviously, we can't rocket jump here because that would be considered shooting, so zipline it is. Unfortunately, using the discard ability to bypass the first wall leaves us with an even larger wall and no cards to work with. But what if there was a third option? Exploring the surrounding area, I noticed potential in the tables and ledges. But I just couldn't make it. The table was simply too short to let me onto the ledge. That is, until I noticed this very thin window here. And just like that, I was up. Now, the next problem is the gap and wall, leading me to seek out a perfect zipline angle to bypass both with one use of the Dominion card. And that's exactly what I did. Okay, well, not right here. I gotta do the montage first, of course. Well, that was fast. Any of you keen-eyed viewers out there might notice the next problem here. That's right, another wall! Despite my efforts, it seems there was no way to scale these walls with only one Dominion Soul card. I once again resorted to finding jumps or platforms I could make use of in the surrounding area, but there was none. I was stuck. Out of ideas, I decided to search the Neon White wiki, Reddit, and YouTube in the hopes of finding glitches or speedrun tech that could help me bypass this level. Some way to duplicate cards, or some way to use the zipline without discarding the soul card. But there was nothing. Level 8-1 is impossible. Therefore, answering my original question, can you beat Neon White without shooting? No. However, doesn't mean this challenge is over. Over 60 levels are already completed. I wasn't going to just throw it all away. So, this is officially a minimalist run with a brand new question. How many shots does it take to beat Neon White? Needing to reevaluate the level with this new outlook in mind, I could still make use of the original jump I found to save one shot. However, using the zipline to skip this first wall was pointless, as it leaves me with no cards. So, deciding to break this video's one major rule, I took the shot. And then, I took 6 more. Level 8-1 took a rather brutal 7 shots. Fortunately, 8-2 is much more forgiving, as it takes only 0 shots. Level 8-3 is pretty ridiculous. It has this extremely precise zipline set up right at the start. And then you still have to use a shot to deal with this big-ass head. I put a lot of effort into getting around this head. Effort you won't see in this video, but I promise you, I went through so many lengths and so many like routes and ways to go about this. I tried like killing it with the sword and then like jumping on its head and jumping off of it, but like there's nothing you can do. You have to use a rocket here. Just trust me. All right. Anyway, final attempt time. I do the lineup. Okay, I do it here. Give that stupid head the one shot it does not deserve. And this cool little tech I figured out, where if you go under the plank, they'll like shoot themselves out. And no, I can't do that with the head earlier. And the rest of the level's smooth. It just takes the one shot. (8-4) takes 0 shots. The only notable thing here being this surprisingly precise dash. (8-5) takes 0 shots. The only notable things here are this sick maneuver I pulled off, and the fact that I ended the stage with my katana broken. (8-6) is another stage with a weird beginning. I kept trying to parry these goobers at the start, then flick to the next balloon with the zipline. Spoiler warning, but that did not work. After 8 minutes of slamming my head against this brick wall, which apparently I just love doing in this challenge, I found an angle that simply landed me on the platform. And with all that said and done, this level takes 0 shots. (8-7) takes 0 shots, and nothing notable happens. Level 8-8 takes 0 shots, with a few notable moments. There's this dodge for this big-ass head here. The next thing is these chests. You have some pretty precise katana swinging. There's this moment where I realize I don't have any cards, so I have to do some parkour. That's cool. And then lastly, you have to do this little jump setup to get to the end. Level 8-9 takes 0 shots. I used the momentum from this one balloon to save the Godspeed card for these heads. Aside from that, it's all smooth sailing. There, okay. I'm cutting that out. Dude, why did I restart? Cutting that out too. 8-10, the final level of Chapter 8, takes 0 shots. First, I outmaneuver and style on this extremely ugly head. Then the rest of the level is just using my zip lines at the right spots in order to maximize their value. Here, I go over this one part of the level to save a zipline, which is crucial. Because, here at the end, I'm able to just barely make it using both ziplines. Chapter 8 was completed in 8 shots, with 2 levels that required shooting. Beginning Chapter 9, I'm feeling motivated, feeling hopeful, feeling good. Chapter 8 was devastating, but 8 shots really isn't that bad. As for 9-1, it takes 0 shots, and nothing interesting happens. Level 9-2 unfortunately takes 2 shots to complete. Those 2 shots take place here. Fortunately, I don't need a third, because I can land on top of this guy and cut him up with the katana. And from there, the rest of the level is pretty straightforward. But what if I told you it was possible to complete in only 1 shot? While 1 measly shot sounds unimpressive, let me explain to you the lengths, the hoops, hurdles I jumped to make this happen. First, I play the level as normal, making sure to parry wherever possible to preserve my katana swings. Once I make it to the point where I used my shots last time, I can actually reach this first demon from the platform without needing to shoot. Next, I use my one and only shot on this demon that's further away, and then I turn around. Up next, I use a precise zipline setup to backtrack through the stage. Landing on this ledge, I can then make a jump to a further point in the level. Upon making it over here, I need to deal with these demons. Then I am going to backtrack some more, making sure my blast hits the demons on the way up. Or at least, I try to. Fortunately, I have a backup plan, which requires me to beat this head with my katana. I now move on to the penultimate part of the level, with 1 stomp card. Fortunately, these beams attached to the wall can be walked across, allowing me to push forward. I kill these demons as normal. I then make my way to the backside of these heads, making sure not to trigger the explosive barrels with my stomp card. To round out this section, I must kill this last head, making sure to save the fireball card to get back up. It is here where I use my very last katana swing to ignite the barrels and send myself flying. Finally, I can punch this demon to death, take its stomp card, and finish up the stage. By perfectly using the cards, my swings, and the explosive barrels, I managed to shave off a single shot on 9-2. With that behemoth of a level behind me, I can now move on to 9-3, which takes 0 shots. Then there's 9-4, which also takes 0 shots. And so does 9-5. And 9-6. All the way to 10-1. With Chapter 9 complete, and the first level of Chapter 10 done, it's time for the second fight against Green. Another fight against Green means employing the same strategies from Fight 1. using his own projectiles against him, and preserving katana swings, which should be quite simple. Okay, maybe it's not that simple. Let's break down my strategy. So this first section here is pretty basic, using his projectiles against him. I also make sure to optimally use my fireball cards. Next, once he goes into his little fight phase here, I use fireball cards in the right places to get rid of the crystals. I can then preserve and keep 3 fireball cards by using these elevate cards to escape the cathedral. Bug out, and you're actually able to enter back in when you're not supposed to, and you can see the inside of the cathedral when it's all unloaded, and it's pretty freaking cool in there. Back to the level, I continue to preserve swings wherever possible. Whenever possible, I also make sure to use fireballs as my main source of damage. Some of these heads here are tricky because I hide behind the crystal and let their laser destroy the crystal, but sometimes green's projectiles will break the crystal instead, which lets the laser kill me. Or sometimes the laser breaks it too fast and then the projectiles hit me. Either way, it's just kind of annoying. I've died here plenty of times. That's why you see me standing here out in the open for the laser, so I can walk behind the crystal right as it's about to pop. That way green's projectiles don't go anywhere near the crystal. Four unbreakable crystals. I can't slice them, I can't parry them, I can't let his projectiles hit them. There's just nothing. Which, it sucks. Doing all of this, it takes literally 5 minutes to get up to here, using only 3 swings. But, whatever. I'll tank the 4 shots. Alright, fine, I'll do it. And here, it just gets even worse. These crystal clumps on the outside take 5 swings to destroy, and green's projectiles don't affect them. Then, there's the inner crystals, which take only 1 swing each, which is nice, but there are so many of them, and the rotating rings have no collision with the player, meaning you'll fall right through. So, ideally, you would have to take out several crystals in just a couple of swings, then zipline back to safety, and repeat. But by the time you take them all out, you would definitely run out of ziplines. But let's say you could do it. Let's count up how many swings. It would take 5 swings per outside crystal clump, and at least like 8 for the ones on the interior. That makes for 28 swings to make him vulnerable once. And you know what? Let's cut out the interior swings. Let's be super generous. Let's say you could do it in maybe like 23 to make him vulnerable once. Then what? How do I even damage him? The zipline does a very small fraction of his health, and it's not like I can use my katana here. So, to save you some time, I'm gonna need to shoot again. And I'm going to need to shoot a lot. So much so that it's not even worth counting. The name of this video file agrees. But that doesn't mean this video's over. I'm not gonna rage quit over this, right? It's a little frustrating, sure. It took me like an hour to get here just once, just to find out I can't even do it without needing like 100 shots. But it's fine, it's fine. I'll just have to use a different strategy entirely. The speedrun route lets you defeat green before he even makes it to the final phase. So, I will be combining that with elements from my no shooting tech to try and optimize a route. Effectively, the speedrun strategy revolves around sneaking in pop shots while he moves from place to place. While it wasn't perfect, as I wasted a few shots here and there, it was a significant improvement from the disaster this level started as. 17 shots sounds like a dream compared to where I was previously. While improvement is definitely possible on this level, at least 3 to 5 shots less than what I got, I'm happy with what I have. As the kids would say, I've got a bit of a skill issue. Maybe someone who's much better at this game can optimize this better. Cruising into Chapter 11, the end is within sight. 11-1 takes 0 shots and introduces the Book of Life card. Its discard ability allows you to warp to a demon, killing it. This works from almost any range, and will even return the card to you upon use. The Book of Life also has no primary fire, making it perfect for this challenge. Not to mention, there is no demon killing requirements on these last levels. 11-2 also takes 0 shots. Because this last chunk of levels all focus on the Book of Life, there really isn't much else to say. They all take 0 shots. From level 11-1 to 12-1, all that's left between me and the end of this challenge is neon green. Fortunately, this final level also focuses on the Book of Life. Although, that isn't to say there is no challenge. It always seems to come back to these damn heads. After solving that crisis, it seems the next issue is my katana count, because in order to move on from this part, you have to do a certain amount of damage to neon green. By preserving a fireball card from earlier in the section, I can use it on neon green to deal enough damage. If you made it to the end of the video, I want to thank you so much for watching, and ask that you leave a like, as it really helps the channel. I also want to thank those of you who watched my other video, where I beat Lethal Company's first quota without turning the camera. I do plan on creating more videos soon, so if you're not already subscribed, it really means a lot if you do. And if you're still watching, here is the final recap. Of Neon White's 98 levels, you only need to shoot in 4 of them. Those levels being 8-1, 8-3, 9-2, and 10-2. In total, it takes 26 shots, but with some optimization in 10-2 and better gameplay, it can be reduced to around 23 by my estimates. And again, thank you and goodbye. Subscribe for more Connor.